This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we do encourage you to like and share them on Facebook and other social media. It's time for the African American Scene, presented each week at this time by Howard Insurance in Port St. Lucie and hosted by Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Wow, wow, wow. Do we have a lot of stuff going on?
Got something to wow about this week, huh?
We got a lot of stuff going on, that's for sure. I just want to put you on alert. Tonight we're going to end a little early because our local team has reached the Final Four out in Kansas, and that game will be coming on at 7 o'clock.
They're now an NCAA sanctioned type of a game now. We're beyond state level.
Yeah, that's really cool. Next week, I'm going to have a guest, Tamia McAlwin. I know I'm messing up her last name, McAlwin. And she wrote a book recently, Mind Well, Discovery and Recovery. And she sent me the book. Well, I downloaded the book from Amazon, so I will spend the time reading it this week in preparation for her next Wednesday. I guess I don't need to tell you about the verdict. You'd have to be living in a cave or underwater not to know what happened yesterday.
Yet evidence indicates that some people might be living in a cave or underwater because it's big news, and a lot of folks is a sigh of relief. I'm hearing a big sigh of relief out there.
Yes.
How about you? Are you hearing that?
Yes.
There were cheers, I guess, at the time the verdict was read. And
I can tell you myself, and I posted this yesterday, I was emotionally exhausted from having watched it, and my wife told me, please turn it off. It's driving you crazy. But I wanted to see, I wanted to know what the outcome was going to be. And I wanted to be able to follow the process so that I can understand how they got to where they got to at the end. But I can tell you, when the verdict came, I got a little choked up. And somebody's going to ask, they're going to say, why did you get choked up? It didn't happen to you. And I'm going to tell you, like the little girl said, when she was reporting her witnessing of George Floyd dying, that knee on his neck, I felt that pain like it was me. I felt it. There's no question about it. I felt that pain. So that's why you saw me. That's why I had tears in my eyes as that verdict came down. It was tears of joy and tears of relief that something finally had been done. And we have Winnie on line one. Yes, Winnie. Yes, Winnie.
Winnie.
Okay, we lost her. Winnie, call back. She's one of my regular callers. She'll call back. But let me say something to you. We have to accept an ugly truth about ourselves that we so often deny. America is a violent nation. We are violent. We are very, very violent. That is in our DNA.
Well, the violent took it by force. Yes, we did.
Yeah, we're violent. The the America, as much as we like to talk about how sophisticated we are and how about American exceptionalism, we are violent people, very violent people. And that's just a reality that doesn't make our country, that makes our country less great from American exceptional experience, because I don't believe in American exceptionalism, and I've had that debate with some of my friends, and President Obama believed in American exceptionalism, and I do not believe in it, even though he is somebody that I greatly admire. Let me just show you some statistics, share some statistics with you. Police killings by other wealthy countries. 33.5 per, what is it now? Per 10 million people. 33.5 people are killed by police per 10 million. That number in Canada is 9.8. That number in Australia is 8.5. That number in the Netherlands is 2.3. That number in New Zealand is 2.0. In Germany is 1.3. And there we are at 33 per 10 million deaths by police officers. And we...
Yeah, Winnie had trouble with her phone. I think she's back.
Okay. Yes, Winnie. How are you, my friend? Winnie, are you there?
Come on, Winnie. You're on the air.
This phone.
Oh, no.
I think she just got cut off.
I think
again.
she's having trouble with her phone. Yeah.
Well, Winnie, straighten out your phone and get back to me. But I wanted to read those statistics to you because we have a tendency to get very defensive when we say things like that. And on an annualized basis, now I want you to, here's another alarming statistic. America killed 1,099 people by law enforcement. Canada killed 36. Australia killed 21. Germany killed 11. The Netherlands killed 4. England and Wales killed 3. Japan killed 2. New Zealand killed 1. And Iceland and Norway 0. Now, say what you will. Why is it those countries, cops kill less people than our cops? Why? I'm going to submit to you part of it is a orientation to being a police officer and having the John Wayne, what I'm going to call the John Wayne syndrome. Part of what I think happened, and if you saw that whole tape, you'll see it. It was only said by the prosecutor one time, but he got to the mindset where when people were yelling at him and telling him to get off of George Floyd, you could see in his face he got into the mindset where nobody was going to tell him what to do. Nobody was going to tell him what to do. So, and I think that's oftentimes if you saw the video that was of the lieutenant, Army lieutenant, that they pulled over in a gas station, and the guy comes up to the window and he says, "Get out of the car." No, why did you pull me over? Nothing. Just get out, because I said so. I got a gun and a badge, and I'm God. And we got Charlie on line one. Yes, Charlie.
Hello. Hi. First off, I'm 73. I was brought up on Long Island
Okay.
by a person who served as an officer under Ike, my father, the genius. Okay, he was in charge of purchasing. I served in Vietnam in combat. I had a black sergeant, Sergeant McManus. God rest his soul, he was killed in combat. We were a mixed group, 101st Airborne. Everybody was a paratrooper. America, Mr. Howard, is not a systemically racist country, period. I have a lot of friends, and I know a lot of people. I've worked for the Stewart News. I worked for the Hartford Courant up in Connecticut as an account executive. I dealt with blacks, whites, Asians, Vietnamese. The type of talk that promotes the division of Americans is hurting our country. Don't you realize that? 27 blacks were killed by cops all of last year. More blacks kill blacks, and that's a shame. I used to be a teacher.
More whites
Fourth
kill
grade.
whites. 80%
Well, you're
of
right.
80%.
You're right.
Okay, so why do we
God
always
bless
say that?
America. We have freedom, sir.
Okay, but
We
I'm just
have a
saying, why do we always bring that statistic up that more blacks kill blacks when whites kill whites at the same rate?
Because it's true. It's true, Mr. Howard.
Okay, but it's true that whites kill each other too.
Right. I
Oh.
know, but everybody seems to be saying cops are hunting blacks, and that ain't happening.
Well, I'm going to
That
say
ain't
this.
hap- That was a shame. That man's knee on Mr. Floyd's neck was horrible. I believe he did try to kill him, so he got his just desserts. However, if Mr. Floyd was not an addict and loaded up with meth or whatever he was on, he may have survived.
Oh,
And I wish he
come
had.
on,
I
man,
wish he had.
please.
I'm saying,
Please, don't do that.
you know,
Don't
wish
do
he
that, because
survived.
you know what? You are now the very thing that causes us a divide. Why are you saying that? There's no truth to that.
I did, sir. That's my opinion. You have an opinion too.
But there's no
I
truth to
respect
what.
your
There's no
opinion.
truth to what.
Well,
From what
sir,
the testimony that you heard from scientists, there was no truth to that. And that's not helpful. When you make a statement about something like that that's not true, what you do is you cause us black people frustration because you're not willing to accept the reality of what exists. Now, I'm going to say this to you also.
okay,
Well,
brother.
okay, let me just say this to you because I think this is important. One of my white friends said to me this week, and it hit me like a lightning bolt. She said to me, "Why is it we never hear about black cops killing unarmed people?"
I'm sure
And when
it's
she,
happened, sir.
well,
I don't
okay,
know.
well,
I'm sure it has happened.
well,
I'm sure it has.
but it's not. It is not. When she said that, it hit me like a lightning bolt. I started sitting thinking. I'm trying to think of when that was a situation that I could think of, and I can't think of one. And when I told Cliff about it, he couldn't think of one either. So you know what? So why do I say that to you, Charlie? I say that to you. I say that to you to give that some thought. Give that some thought.
Well, I think about this a lot, sir. I know you're college educated. I am too. Okay? And I'm a common sense person. But I did ask you a question, and I can't even remember what the darn question was now.
Okay.
Oh, have you ever been in combat?
No, but I was in the service.
No?
I was in the
Okay,
service.
But you have never been in combat.
No.
Okay, maybe you've been shot at, but I've had bombs dropped on me, mortars dropped on me, whatever the Vietnamese were shooting at me at the time, AK-47s, ambushes, etc. In the heat of combat, dude, people make mistakes. Now, that cop killed Mr. Floyd. There's no doubt about it. All I'm saying is, when I see Mr. and Miss Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, canonize somebody for dying, which was horrible, absolutely horrible. But he was not a great guy. I'm sure he was a wonderful person to his friends, Mr. Howard. But, hey, come on. The man had a hell of a record, etc.
But he had a right to live.
I don't have a police record. Do you? Do you?
No, but that's not the
If
point.
people act civilized. I judge a person not
But that's
by their
not the
color.
point, though. Charlie, that's not the point. And that's the thing that people do frequently. You're evaluating the victim. He was still a victim. And I'm going to say what I have said before. And I believe this from the bottom of my heart. I believe most people would have pitched a hissy fit if he had done that to a dog. If a dog was laying on the ground and he had his knee on that dog's neck until it died, I think people would have been in outrage.
Mm-hmm. Sir, it's got nothing to do about color, and that's the thing.
Well,
I don't judge a person by his color.
Maybe you don't.
Could have been white.
I don't know you, so I can't say that you.
I listen to your show actually a hell of a lot. I really do, sir.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I've called.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of sick of hearing racist remarks from a black person.
Well,
I am not a racist.
Well, maybe you're not. I don't think that every white person is a racist. I have some terrific white friends. And I just told you, it was one of my white friends that called me up and said, how come I have never seen a black cop kill an unarmed person?
All right, let's mention the propaganda media, okay? A lot of stuff is hidden because the media has a narrative. And it's a shame because it's separating Americans. Black,
No. When you do what you just did was to say that there was some intervening cause for his death that makes his death more tolerable, that separates America. Sir, I have to tell you that separates America when you do that. Because you know what? At the end of the day, part of why we had the outcome we had is because black people protested. And as black people began to protest in the summer, if you paid attention, those protests got whiter and whiter and whiter. There was more white people that was participating in Black Lives marches toward the end of the summer because they finally got it. They finally got it. And because of those protests, it gave people a heightened sensitivity and a sense of awareness. And that sense of awareness and heightened sensitivity was in that jury box.
Oh, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Now, do you know that the Black Lives leader, a woman leader, she's a devout Marxist. She says it. And she just bought 4 mansions. They're skimming off the top. Black lives matter. All lives matter, sir. All lives. And that includes blacks. All lives matter or nobody's, buddy. That's the problem. Listening to you, it's a shame. You're a good person, though. You're trying. Goodbye.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Well, that's we've had that discussion before about Black Lives Matter, but
Winnie switched phones.
Okay. Winnie, my friend, how are you?
I like good, and I had called you about 3 or 4, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was asking you about the. Is he? I hope he'll get the whole 3 counts guilty. You say no. You don't believe he get the whole 3, but he did get the whole 3.
He did. Yes. I didn't think he would get all 3, but he did get all 3 charges. I was surprised about that.
And I asked you about that. You said no. You probably get 1. I said maybe manslaughter. But that's good. He got all 3 counts, and I'm happy. Everybody happy. Things like that. We got 3 more to go.
Yeah.
Another 3 ex-officers. So I hope they get their kind of bit of, get charged, go up the creek too, and things like this here. Michael Brown case, he had most white jury. Really think the jury did a big part of it, because they didn't want to say not guilty, but guilty.
I don't know, because remember, Michael Brown was in the grand jury. And
he was in the grand jury?
Yes, and the grand jury came out and said that they didn't find any cause for a action against the officer. That's what made that's what made that thing blow up. So it never really got an official trial, and that was part of my argument all along about that case was, and there's probably a guy that I know very well who's listening, who he and I have had we've had bitter fights about Michael Brown, and my whole response was, why not let him have the trial?
Right.
What it came out of grand jury and he didn't get a trial. Why not let him have the trial? And since time has gone on, there's things we found out about what happened that never got to the grand jury. But that's the thing that
what about Trayvon Martin? I saw, but he went to a trial.
Yes, that did. And they found
it didn't go too well. Did the guy? He went to prison. He didn't.
No, he didn't go to prison. No.
What went bad? What went wrong though?
They tried to use the stand your ground law, which we have in Florida, which is his right to defend himself with a weapon. And I think that's what kind of got him off, got Zimmerman off. So.
Oh, stand your ground.
Yeah.
I'm glad this went okay. So you think some more cases going to turn out like this? Or you think,
I think we saw something in this trial that I never thought I would see, to tell you the truth. You had actual police officers testifying against the defendant. That was like, because those guys usually, they close ranks and they won't tell on each other. But you had cops that were actually testifying against Chauvin, and that was very remarkable. But Winnie, I got to let you go because I got the phone ringing. Okay. And we got Jay on line 2. What's up, Jay?
How you doing, Rudy? Could you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. No, I was just thinking about the first caller, and it just kind of like, I wasn't going to call you, but it just irked me because he was talking about how decent the police are up there in New York and all around that area, and how there's no racism. And what happened with me as a youngster, minding my business and trying to stay out of trouble, I went to a school after having my final exam. I just turned 18 to meet my cousin at Thomas Jefferson High School in East New York, and me and a few other people. And there were parents there waiting for their kids to come out because it was the end of the year. And undercover cops pull up into the courtyard, and the two guys who were with me, they ran away, but I didn't run because I didn't do anything. So they snatched me and put me in the car and say I was trespassing. They didn't say anything to the civilians, those moms and other folks waiting for their kids to come out. So they had me in the car, taking me to book me for trespassing. And as we're riding, they're talking and they're making fun, saying that this is one nigga that won't work for the city. Yeah, this was their motivation, for me,
Yeah.
And so, that was like, with me listening to that, I was very upset, but I just held it in and I didn't say anything. And we went through the thing. And so the prosecutor, once he saw it, the guy that was taking care of the case, I had to spend a night in jail. My mother was all upset and everything. But the next day, he threw it out. After he saw, that I graduated, I had my diploma and everything like that.
Yeah.
I told him why I was there. I was waiting for my cousin to come out and he was going to go home. The end of the school year. And then come to Port St. Lucie, after all of those years, serving in the military, could have been a casualty in the war, the Vietnam conflict. But I survived all of that, came back, worked for the city, got my pension, come down to Port St. Lucie, and I get stopped by a cop in Port St. Lucie for running. I didn't have to even stop if I didn't want to because I didn't do anything wrong. But, trying to respect him, I did. And he wanted to ask me where did I live? What was I doing there? In other words, what was I doing in that neighborhood? I didn't belong up there on Burlington, around Burlington Street.
Yeah.
I guess that would you call that southwest Port St. Lucie.
Yeah.
I didn't deserve, back in those days, I wasn't supposed to be living. I was supposed to be in Fort Pierce somewhere on Avenue D.
Right.
That was his perception until I got to Miskey. He didn't know I knew the mayor. So I told the mayor about it, and he got very upset. But I told you that story before.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clear up what that first caller was saying, like everything is so hunky-dory and there's no such thing as, police or doing anything wrong, racist or, just out of their character.
Jay, I didn't
and
even.
When I was over in England,
I didn't even
those
tell
cops
him.
were like you said, they don't shoot. They don't even carry guns on when they run patrol.
I know.
The only time they have guns is when they're going out with, like, say, a bank is being robbed or something is really, crucial going on. Then they go out with the guns. But when they're just walking around and patrolling, they don't carry weapons and they get along pretty good. They're very sociable and they try to find out what's going on, but they don't act, try to be nasty or nothing like that.
We're
Same
violent.
thing in Spain.
We're just we are violent people. We don't like to admit to that, but we are a very violent people. This country was constructed on pure violence.
Absolutely.
That's just the reality.
Jihad is what it's called today.
Yeah,
All you have to do is just look at history.
Right.
All of this started, with the slave patrol.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand why they act like they do. It started with that.
It did.
Slave patrol. And it carried over right into these guys going out and they have this attitude, and a lot of them shouldn't even be on the force. But, that's another story.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jay. I got another caller.
I do have to say something right here is that, folks, we're going to be breaking away from the African-American scene with Rudy shortly because we're going to, beyond the state level IRSC college basketball game, pregame show at 6:45. Okay, Rudy, I think you're ready for your next caller?
Yes. Yes, and that's
Steve.
Steve. Yes, Steve. Yes, Steve.
There we
I'm
go.
the nice
The nice
Yes,
Steve.
Steve.
Got him.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway.
Steve. What's up?
The one caller was complaining about the trial.
Yeah.
This trial is a positive thing. This is a turning point.
Ugh.
This is the first time that police have really gotten up and testified against police and said he killed him. And that hasn't happened before.
I agree.
There used to be a deputy, remember? And I'm sitting here going, wow, but it's the right way to go. We're turning the right way for a change.
Yep.
And I just want to see more of it. And
Well-
the way to do that is for the citizenry to become more involved.
Yeah.
The
But yeah,
neighborhood meetings,
you're
whatever.
right though. I saw that when I saw the cops actually testify and say he was wrong. And the police chief was disgusted with him.
You see the look on their faces?
Oh yes, he
I mean, that told me everything I wanted to know just looking at them.
He was thoroughly
He had nothing but hatred and disdain for that guy.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
But,
Well, because, you know,
we
he
made
felt
a positive step. Let's
he
make another one.
he felt like what you should feel like. It's his department, and this man put a stain on his department. And
Yeah.
that's just that, you know. So
You know, and by the way, statistically, look it up on Google. Go to the Department of Labor's or crime statistics. USA is the most violent crime country in the world. We're killing each other at record rates.
I agree, Steve.
Oh no, it's like 36,000 a year plus.
I know it. And
So,
listen,
anyway.
and then what we then turn around and criticize other people's human rights.
Exactly.
And yeah, and so and you know, the thing about that is they think because somebody speaks another language, they can't read, they can't research. They know that we are a violent country. And we have to own up to that. We are a violent ass nation. And we got more guns than any
While you're
other.
looking up the statistics, you're going to find one you're really going to like. Florida is number one in public corruption as far as politicians being indicted or jailed, whatever. We're number one.
You think?
I'm certainly not surprised by that.
Well, Port St. Lucie now, in the latest statistics, violent crime, we never even used to be in the top 50. Now we're number 9 with 7 murders in 3 months, including cop.
Jeez.
So this is not looking good.
No. Well, my
I
friend.
think we need a little more community policing.
Yeah,
And a
we
little
do.
less 35-mile-an-hour policing.
Yeah, we do.
You know what I mean? Get out of the car. When I was a kid, Jim Furrier was our beat cop. He rode a motorcycle, but he'd park it, walk around the neighborhood, talk to people on their porch, and everybody knew him. Everybody liked him. Anything happened in our neighborhood, all he did is show up, and everybody tell him what happened.
Well, I have to tell you, I think I had the opportunity to meet with the police chief a couple of weeks ago and the city manager, and we had a good discussion talking about policing in Port St. Lucie. I was concerned about the process they were using to screen to make sure we don't get some of those crazies on our department. And they spent about an hour with me, and I appreciate it. And they've said to me that they would come on this show. And so I have a guest next week, but I'm going to get them to come on the show in the next couple weeks.
Well, I know them both.
Yeah.
You know, I got questions for them, but I'm not going to be hostile to them.
Yeah.
I'd try to be helpful.
Right.
But I'll tell you something we got to be careful of. Dade County hired 72 officers. 1 year later, not one of them was still on the force. They had all been fired for corruption. So you got to be careful when you're in a panic to hire, like prison guards right now.
Yeah.
They're hiring anybody, including ex-prisoners.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll let somebody else talk. And
thank you, Steve.
join me.
Always enjoy you, my friend. Okay, that was a fast.
You brought up that question. Why don't we hear about black police officers shooting unarmed suspects?
Yeah.
And that might be part of the key to the answer to all this if you think about it, because, well, there's a statistic that's going to be totally ignored, of course. However, if we pay attention, we might just learn something. But that's an area we need to look into, and maybe those officers, the black officers who don't seem to be so trigger happy toward anyone, let's see what their secrets are of how they do it and how they assess a situation. And well, because of what's happened, they're gonna spend a whole lot more time paying attention to what's going on now. I mean, we know this because the police have now become accountable.
Well,
Big victory.
I can tell you a little bit just as an outside observer. The black officers tend to create a rapport with the person that they're engaging,
Right.
as opposed to the white officer who approaches the person and wants to put in a demand. So
Comply.
yeah, comply right now.
Yeah.
Do what I said,
'Cause I
and
said
all
it.
and because I said it, and that sets up a whole defensive mode. And you know, our natural instinct as men is when somebody talks to you like that, you don't particularly like that. But when somebody calls it, hey, listen, man, what are we doing here? Can you tell me what's going on here? Why are you doing what you're doing here? I've had a complaint, and this is an actual engagement I had when I was in Massachusetts. He said, look, I had a complaint that you guys were making too much noise. I was having a party at my apartment.
I've done that.
Yeah, and he said, listen, can you just keep it down?
Yeah.
You know, talk to me like a human being. You know, that's I think the biggest difference. Black cops tend to develop a rapport with a suspect as opposed to making demands for compliance like white officers do. So, but anyway, we're getting ready to leave. Greg is coming on with our great IRSC team, which is in the finals. But I'd like to thank you so much for listening to the African American Scene. I will be back next week with Tamia McElwin, and God bless and be safe.